On September 10th, 2001, there was no talk of a global war on terror. Saddam Hussein and Iraq were issues not to be found on the front page as a high priority by the Bush administration. The fight between Islam and the West was but a small fire being fed by an extremist group led by Osama bin Laden. On that day, America's commercial airliners were subject to being commandeered by anyone from fame-seeking, disenchanted Colorado high school students to God-seeking, megalomaniacal fundamental Islamists, with the goal to shock, prey upon our darkest, chill our hearts and pull us into a global war. Al-Qaeda executed the attacks of September 11, 2001. Despite good intentions, the leadership and the majority of American citizens were complicit in bin Laden's goals for the 9/11 attacks. It would have taken greater strength than we displayed, but September 11th, 2001 could have been remembered as the date in history when we as a planet came closer together in the realization that violence and vengeance quite simply do not work, unless violence and vengeance are what you seek.
By promoting liberty abroad, we will build a safer world, a safer world, a safer world, a safer world.
There is no doubt he is amassing them. And American interests lead in the same direction. We stand for human liberty.
You must never be racist.
Say something about security. We cannot wait for the final proof. The smoking gun could come in the form of an mushroom cloud.
You only see what your eyes want to see. How can life be what you want it to be? You're frozen when your heart's not open.
Enforce our retreat from the world.
You're so consumed with how much you get. You waste your time with hate and regret.
I work 3 jobs and I feel like I contribute.
You work 3 jobs.
3 jobs, yes.
Uniquely American, isn't it? I mean, that is fantastic.
If I could melt your heart, we'd never be apart. Give yourself to me. You only see what your eyes want to see. How can life be what you want it to be? You're frozen when your heart's not open. If I could melt your heart, we'd never be apart. Give yourself to me.
My leadership. And America is more secure.
If I could melt your heart.
There is a spiritual crisis in this society because of the dominance of the ethos of materialism and selfishness that people learn day in and day out in the world of work. Now, the terrible tragedy is that the right then analyzes that by saying the reason for this materialism and selfishness that's undermining loving relationships and families and so forth, that's because of the gays and lesbians and feminists and now liberals and secular humanists are all being put into this position. And that's why you are suffering in your family life. That's why you are in pain, because there is this selfishness and materialism surrounding us. Now, the irony here is that the right, meanwhile, is the primary articulator and defender of the selfishness and materialism in the world of work. Because in the world of work, they are the ones who fight against the introduction of any criteria of social responsibility. They are the ones who continually say, do not interfere with the ability of each corporation to pursue its own selfish interests without regard to the consequences to anybody else. How do they get away with being, on the one hand, the force that opposes every piece of legislation that would restrict selfishness and materialism in the world of work, and on the other hand, being the articulator of the pain that people feel when the ethos of selfishness and materialism that they've learned all day in the world of work is brought home, as it inevitably is, into personal life and plays out in destructive ways? How do they get away with working both sides of the street? The answer is they get away with it because there is no other voice in town, because the liberals don't get it. They get away with it because the liberal and progressive forces don't even understand that there is a spiritual crisis, and in fact think that when people talk about a spiritual crisis, all they mean is that those are code words for racism, sexism, and homophobia. In other words, they take the rights analysis, and because they take the rights analysis, which is racist, sexist, and homophobic, they then say that there's no real problem. But there is a real problem, even though the rights analysis of the problem is wrong. Do you get it? Obviously, what is needed is a spiritual, progressive voice that can acknowledge that there is a real spiritual crisis, insist that that crisis has to be the central issue of politics, but provides a different analysis and a different solution. We need a new bottom line. The current bottom line is materialism and selfishness. We need a bottom line of love and caring. Today, institutions are judged efficient, rational, or productive to the extent that they maximize money and power. We are saying that the institutions should be judged efficient, rational, and productive not only to the extent that they maximize money and power, but also to the extent that they maximize love and caring, kindness and generosity, ethical, ecological sensitivity, and enhance our capacities to respond to each other and to the universe with awe, wonder, and radical amazement. That's a fundamentally, radically different vision of the world. And doesn't fit into left-right, because the left doesn't articulate this any more than the right does. If we did that, we would see that almost every institution of this society is inefficient, irrational, unproductive. They don't tend to produce loving and caring human beings. They don't tend to produce ethically and ecologically sensitive human beings. They don't tend to enhance our capacities to respond to the universe with awe and wonder. No, it's not that we don't have a lot of loving and caring human beings. We do. We are that despite the institutions we live in, not because of them. The way to change this is not just to fight against media or government or corporations, it's to also change ourselves to the point where we could ourselves begin to articulate what we really believe in, to go for your highest goals. That is, this movement, power of this movement is that we will say publicly what so many people privately want but dare not say for fear that they will be ridiculed and humiliated for saying that they believe in a world of love and kindness, and love and kindness, and love and kindness, and love and kindness.
This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly. Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance.
Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, call to battle, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Will you join in that historic effort? And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.